Good morning, Vietnam. Back again. I think it's about my 20th video. Excuse me. And it's going to be again on media. I did a major video a little while ago on the failure of media to protect its citizens, and of course concluded, again, that there is no left-wing media except on the internet. So this one is going to be about an article that was written in the New York Times 5 days ago. I did some research and copied the article and then wrote my notes around it, which I will copy and post in the next video to accompany this, as I've done in my last 3 videos. Again, I would really appreciate if you could like and subscribe, as it's a brand new platform. It is very difficult to get recognition. So here we go. The heading, this is the New York Times. It's written by Emma Goldberg. And as I said, I'm going to do quite a few of these because it's the only way we are going to hopefully change one person at a time, that the media is not protecting its citizens and in fact doing it a great disservice. And this is a classic example where Miss Emma Goldberg has written a pathetic review and discussion on this guy, NYU Professor Jonathan Haidt, H-A-I-D-T. So the heading is, first he came for cancel culture, now he wants to cancel smartphones. A bit of a stupid title, but I'll read from the beginning of the article. When James Comey became head of the FBI in 2013, he sent reading recommendations to his staff, including letter from Birmingham jail by the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., Lean In by Sheryl Sandberg, and The Righteous Mind by a professor at New York University's Business School, Jonathan Haidt. Now, why we are starting off with this is beyond me. James Comey is one of the prime reasons why Hillary lost the election in 2016. So why is Emma even quoting this is beyond me. He decided, Comey, that he was going to do the morally correct thing, which morality comes in big in these Mr. Haidt's decision-making and book writing, that Comey would do the morally correct thing and say, out of the blue, 1 week before the election, that they're going to reinvestigate Hillary Clinton's private email server. As we all know, nothing ever came of it. But that asshole, that moron, Comey, decided a week before that he would have his say and try, and he did, subvert an election. So that's the first problem with this article. So going on, stumbling on that last book, a 2012 bestseller, of course, Mr. Comey recalled, as if he were consulting a how-to guide on leading a stuck-in-its-ways Washington bureau. The book's core lesson is simple. Humans make moral decisions based on emotional intuition, not just reason. It goes on, when you're trying to change minds, you have to change hearts as well. I mean, is she an idiot? I mean, it's exactly how elections, are decided. Emotionally, especially today when you've got MAGA believing that Trump somehow, miraculously, is going to help their lives, lift their lives to some weird heavenly place. And logic is gone, way gone, out the back door so long ago with these MAGA morons. So, it goes on, talks about his books, and of course the last one is going to be called The Anxious Generation, which we'll get to and discuss a little bit later. She writes, "Is all that actually possible? He would like to think so. But what about the writer? What does she think about any of this? Has she read any of the books? What's her opinion? Does she think he has logic, reason, morality? Why is his books popular?" But of course, she doesn't discuss any of this, but only how great Mr. Haidt is. Going on, I'll read again, quoting, "Mr. Haidt's writings promise these power players something elusive, a scholarly, social, scientific explanation of the crisis they're facing, combined with Silicon Valley," where was I? "Founders' level of confidence about how to fix them." But how does he propose to fix it? She doesn't ask him, she doesn't say anything about where's the logic, where's the reasoning, where's the final outcome. She could have asked any question at that stage. Toby Shannon, the former chief operating officer of the e-commerce business Shopify. Mr. Haidt claims he got him through a bumpy period in the lead up to the Donald Trump, the 2016 election. And quoting again, "Shopify determined that users could sell merchandise with political commentary, but none with explicit calls to harm." I mean, come on. He has to get so-called expert Haidt to tell him this? I mean, it's just logic, stupid. We have been trying to do the same thing since smartphones became available. Trying to control negative, hateful, derogatory speech. To continue, she talks about his second last book, The Coddling of the American Mind. It's too much. But I have to quote because I need to discuss it. It was his work on The Coddling of the American Mind, diagnosing what became known as cancel culture, that shot Mr. Haidt to the centre of a debate that for years preoccupied opinion writers, blue check accounts on Twitter, and everybody's dad. Well, not everybody's dad, since some of us, and I know many parents who don't think this way and who in fact thought about this a long time ago, before smartphones came into being. Her writing is simply sensationalist. And now, more and more in this article, she's putting him on a pedestal. So, this is where it gets very, she starts to lose it. To quote, "He rode a wave of concern about the rising generation and became a voice for people who didn't want to align with right-wing anti-cancel culture warriors, but also felt alienated by the other side." Well, how did he feel alienated? Why doesn't he again ask him the question? For his readers, Mr. Haidt gave credence to the left's irritation with the left. Again, I want to know some specifics at least, why that he believes that is the case. And again, continue quoting, and inevitably, the right's irritation with the left too. Again, no details, no backup. How are we supposed to read all these books just to get this information? To go on, gets worse. Mr. Haidt has been interviewed by the podcast heavyweights. Wow. Ezra Klein, Kara Swisher, both centrist at best commentators. And then Sam Harris, Dax Shepard, Joe Rogan. Wow. The MMA boxer who's suddenly the great intellectual philosopher, psychologist. Jordan Peterson, another person I think has become an absolute idiot and lost his mind. Tim Ferriss. On Barry Weiss's podcast, again, all these last 6-7 people, they're all right-wing apologists. Listen to any of them. So why is she not asking him a question? Why these people like him? Why do they like him? What is he espousing that these right-wingers, in fact, think that he's great? To quote again, he related the current world's chaos and confusion to what humanity experienced after the Tower of Babel's destruction. We may never again be able to understand each other. I mean, you talk about, does he think he's God? I mean, I don't understand some of my friends, but we still talk to each other. We can understand, we can have a different opinion. Is that what he's trying to say? Again, this reporter is so stupid that she doesn't ask him any question, or she's just validating everything he says and taking it as a pure fact. But again, he doesn't back it up at all. It gets worse. Quote, Priscilla Chan, the co-founder of the Chan Zuckerberg Initiative, of course, you know, Mark Zuckerberg's wife, enjoyed the coddling of the American mind. And so she reached out to Mr. Haidt and they had a dinner together. And of course, then Zuckerberg invited Haidt to give some lectures at Meta on mental health and democracy. Yeah, well, there's the wrong place to discuss, you know, Meta, the anti-mental health institution and anti-democracy institution. Just look at what they've done in places like Cambodia. Again, Patrick Collison, chief executive of the payments processing startup Stripe, is also a friend and praised coddling. Bill Gates vouched for coddling. Barack Obama also appears to be a reader of Mr. Haidt. He gave a speech in 2015 that mentioned the story, that Mr. Haidt had written, with a co-author as a precursor to the book. Jesus Christ, what a load of crap, all these people. And so somehow these people telling us how great praising coddling is going to make us believe that Mr. Haidt is 100% correct about everything he writes. All of these have a lot of things to answer for in what they've done in their lives, especially the great Barack Obama. And we'll get to that later. So, one thing I'll say, all these people that this author, the writer, mentions are all trying to control us in some way. Barack tried to control us through his hopeless two-term presidential policies, lied through his teeth on so many occasions, and the two, I mean, I can't forgive him for anything, but anyway, two of the worst things he ever did, he ran on the one of the things he ran on the platform was to codify abortion into law, and of course, as soon as he got in power, he said it's not an important issue at the moment. And we know how that turned out. And of course, the other half of that is when he had the opportunity, a year before he left office, to appoint a Supreme Court justice, he failed miserably in forcing the Senate, even though it was under the control of the Republicans, to bring his nominee to vote because of the issues that the Senate had with the, I can't think of the laws that they can force, filibuster. They forced the filibuster on him again and again and again, and of course he didn't take it to the American people to force a vote on his appointee. And again, the next book, The Anxious Generation, coming out this week. It's a reprieve for Mr. Haidt from the culture wars. And now his thing is to save the children by locking up smartphones. And here's a quote from Mr. Haidt. It's a huge relief. Everywhere I go, I'm pushing on open doors. Well, the God delusion again. And when I have the text on my next video, you will see him sitting in a garden that says, please do not climb on the trees next to it. I mean, the look on his face and just the whole photograph, it's smugness of one of the most elitist people on this planet. Another quote. I don't understand unless I seek out the other side. I mean, when is this writer going to ask him a question? Quoting him again. He who knows only his own side of the case knows little of that. Well, it's a quote from John Stuart Mill, a 19th century anti-cancel culture warrior. Ooh, wow. So he read another book. Okay, I'm going to have to try and skip through some of this. But first, to quote from the article, Mr. Haidt began his career teaching psychology at the University of Virginia. He studied where morals came from, proposing that morality is like taste, and the human mind has different taste buds. For example, care, fairness, loyalty, authority, sanctity, and liberty that help us make decisions. You piece of shit. That's what I grew up with. What? Any person who grows up with any form of morality has these instinctively instilled in them by their parents as they're growing up. 90% of most people in this world follow these. So what he discovered it because he was teaching psychology, and the place it seems like these things are lacking is the USA. Oh, okay, you're going to have to read some of this, otherwise this video will get too long. So, Quoting, he applied his research on morality to America's political parties and came to the conclusion that the Democrats seemed to campaign on just three facets of morality: care, fairness, and liberty. Republicans, meanwhile, tapped into all of the taste buds he's identified. So Democrats, in fact, don't have loyalty and authority and sanctity. I mean, this guy is a piece of shit. It's the other way around, you moron. How many Republican bills have you seen passed in the last 20, 40 years since Reagan? I will mention some in this soon. So, quoting by him, my original motive was to help the Democrats stop offending American morality so much. My God, the guy thinks he is God preaching morality now when he can't even distinguish about what Democrats stand for and what Republicans stand for. Especially, this is an article today, or a few days ago, on what's happening in American politics. And here we go. Quoting here through, I'm not going to comment anymore about the article. If you want to read my comments, you have to read through the whole article, the second video, which will include a copy of the article with my notes threaded in between. And I'm being super critical about what she has written and also that she has not been critical all about him, and he has not proven or shown us or any footnotes on anything to justify any of the topics he claims to be such an expert on. So I'm going to read finally. Not everyone accepts this article as fact. Some of us question everything Mr. Haidt says, and many of us and many parents are way ahead of him in how to deal with raising children and cell phone usage. I mentioned within the article that my girlfriend at the moment has a 17-year-old son who goes to a high school. He's in his final year, and they have zero tolerance for any electronic gadget, equipment, phone in the school. In other words, there are none. Students cannot bring anything in the school. Of course, the teachers have them for emergency, but otherwise the school, zero tolerance. And this is Vietnam. You know, the West, I'm sure there are schools where they have a zero tolerance, but it seems like the West is behind even in from Vietnam. So, you know, reading this article, it just pisses me off that he has become the new guru, and it's just his ideas and writings are just, to me, there is nothing new in them. To quote myself, he thinks he has become like Konstantin Kissin from trigonometry, suddenly an expert in everything, even convinced Oxford Union for him to give a speech, this is Kissin, from almost nothing to an expert in many fields. Remember, Mr. Kissin, background is he is a comedian. Again, he has no experience or training except personal experience. And also, I did a podcast on him, being very critical of him on one of his podcasts, And I've also done 3 podcasts of the podcaster Dr. Mike, another so-called expert in everything he talks about. And I've been highly critical of him in 3 podcasts he did. Also, I've included at the bottom of this my notes. I've copied what was at the bottom of the article, and that is some items about Generation Z, and I'm not going to comment on it. Most of them I do not agree with, and I just feel that it's just a huge put down, and this article is also of Gen Z. So thanks for listening, thanks for watching. I hope you look at my video accompanying this video, which I'll record my notes. And until the next one, thanks for watching. Take care.